don't just market when there's a need. You market when there's not a need.
We lost a ton of it.
How many follow-ups it's going to take to actually get somebody across the finish line.
All these people just thought we went out of business. $500,000 lost opportunity cost.
Where are you guys currently sitting on close rate right now?
We pretty much hold between 35 and 40%. I got sales reps that do a little less. I got a couple that do a little more. And they kind of bounce around throughout the year. The big thing is for us at least, our close our sales cycle is a little longer. It feels like, even though we're retail, we're such a soft close sales process that it is a little slower of a sales cycle. So when we're like looking at close rate, we really don't want to look at the last 30 days. We want to go back and start those parameters prior to the last 30 days. So you get a realistic idea of what's sold. Because our sales cycle is about 30 days. So, a lot of those appointments that you ran this past month, they haven't sold just because they haven't pulled the trigger with anybody yet. So for us, that's kind of a good place to be.
Anybody else have a different number there on either end?
Ours is higher. It's like 45.51%. So we're going to raise our prices just a little bit. But that is our Q1 numbers. If we reference our dashboard in ProLine, we can see all that. So
What date range you want there, Miss Allie?
Yeah,
Well, let's see.
I'm just gonna go on ProLine and look it up for real.
yeah.
So the reason I ask is because the hot take was a 57% close rate is too high. I was leaving money on the table. Do you guys agree or disagree?
100%.
You
Yeah.
agree. Okay, awesome.
I had an old guy tell me one time, he's an old business owner. I always remember this, and I always thought it was funny. He said, if you give them a price and they immediately say yes, you lost, because you absolutely could have charged more. So not that we gouge, but I always remember that. Like, you got to watch, how quick you're getting people to close the deal. If you don't have to work them a little bit, you probably left money on the table.
We got 2 5-star reviews on opposite ends of that spectrum. One of them said, they did a great job, 5 stars. They were very affordable. And I was like, ooh. And then the other one was like that. And so that was a full roof replacement. The other one I did, we got a 5-star review on just an EPDM repair job. And the review was, great work, but very expensive or something like that. So it's like, it's hard to gauge where you're sitting with your pricing in your market when you get reviews like that, where they're 40% gross profit margin and they're not like crazy. So we're kind of middle of the road, but it's interesting to get feedback like that.
If you had to go one way, are you which one of those comments are you thinking you lean more with?
I would like the more expensive one. Yeah.
And
But they know
have you considered raising your prices since that review, or would you need maybe some more kind of push in that direction to finalize?
I think, because I think about that customer, and that was a long time ago, when we had a very short form quoting system like through ProLine. We didn't have them all really built out yet. And so there wasn't a whole lot of like value provided in that proposal. So it was basically like EPDM repair and here's the price, and then a few inspection photos. So I think maybe they thought it was more expensive for what they were getting with the quote. But since we buffered our beefed up our quoting templates, it adds a lot more value to when you get to the bottom of the price and you see the price. It all kind of makes sense. Oh yeah, it makes sense that they would charge that much. So, but it's good feedback. You got to pay attention to that stuff.
Absolutely.
I looked mine up. My reps are at 37% since January 1st.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah. It looks like this person feels like that sweet spot is between 33 and 40%. So that was his hot take. So I like it. All right, here's another one. Can you make every customer happy?
I don't think it's possible,
Why?
because there's some miserable suckers out there. I mean, some miserable people. And honestly, that's who it is. And you can usually tell pretty quick. Like, my guys have gotten really good. I was really good when I was selling it. Like, initial conversation, you can kind of just pick up that they're really unhappy people, and there's not a lot of them. Like, I feel like the world now, everybody thinks that there's so many bad people out there, and they're all, the world is bad, people are bad. That's just not the case. My experience, most people are good, but there are some that are not. And those some, it does not matter what you do, they're never going to be happy. So yeah, you've got to become a judgment of character and figure out who those people are and really just try to avoid them.
Anybody, do we have any yeses in here that it is possible to make every customer happy? All right, because here's the hot take. Saying you can't make a customer happy is a cop-out. Call it an excuse to stop trying for a five-star experience on every job.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'll respond to that.
jobs.
That is presuming that we know what will make them happy, and there isn't any stuff like boiling in the background that we tripwire on, you know. It's like, oh, now you hit this. Of course, now I'm going to start calling you out and getting upset with you. If we knew ahead of time what makes them happy, what makes them upset, of course we're going to avoid all that other stuff. But I've done these smallest repairs and drawn on the house. Like, this is what it's going to look like. It's not going to look great, but this is what you're asking for to solve the problem. This is what it's going to look like. We've done the work. They paid in full. They're like, yeah, it looks like crap. Why did you do it like that? It's like, okay, we showed you what it's going to look like. We've set that expectation. We didn't think it was going to look like you wanted to, but it's going to solve your problem. And they still complain. So it's a hard wire to balance on when you have no idea what trips them up and makes them upset. But if you know that ahead of time, you know, like Scott said, you got to be a good judge of character. If they're, you know, trying to nitpick on everything, it's, you kind of say, you know what, we're not a good fit. We'll refer you to someone else who is a better fit for you, and kind of quietly walk away.
The telltale sign is if they talk bad on their past 5 contractors that worked for them,
Mhm.
that's a telltale sign. Not all 5 of them were bad.
Yeah.
You're just not pleasable. So that's usually the case.
Oh, I like that though. Any other indicators that you guys have seen that you're like, oh, this one's gonna be a problem job?
That's literally like our main one. If you,
That's your main one?
yeah, if
What about you,
you
John?
all the bad contractors you've ever hired, it's probably not all the bad contractors. There might be some, but like,
I mean, there's nobody that's going out of their way to like go make their job more difficult and stuff. But you know, things are going to happen throughout the course of being in this for any amount of time. You know, we're not going to try to punch a hole through your AC line. We're not going to try to hit a water line. We're not going to. But like those things are going to happen from time to time, and like I do definitely think that it's possible to reach an amicable agreement with somebody for, you know, things that maybe didn't go right, but there's no way to prevent like anything and everything from ever happening. Like it doesn't matter how prepared you are, it doesn't matter how much precaution you take, things are going to happen. So it's kind of a loaded question, really, in that, you know, until
I
you
think,
hear the second half of it, it's like,
yeah, yeah.
it's just hard to.
I would reframe the question internally right now for this group is it may not be possible to ever make every customer happy, but is it possible for you to maintain your composure no matter what happens on a job? That we can control. We can control how we react to something that happens personally as owners and operators, but also as leaders within our team, and then spreading that culture to our team. And then that trickle down effect will hopefully, as that culture develops of how we maintain composure out in the battlefield, you know, it's, we talk a little bit about that in martial arts, but like I think that's key, because that will help, I think, can help you through some certain situations sometimes that get a little bit intense with a homeowner who maybe isn't happy. And maybe you learn how to navigate it a little easier if you can keep your emotions in check. That's something I think more about, because there's some crazy situations. Even this week, I could just, yeah, it's just when you thought you've seen it all.
Do you want to share? I feel like that was pretty loaded. And any quick story you care to share about that, or is it too involved?
It's a little involved, but I can give you a very quick version.
Yeah, let's hear it.
We got a lead. My rep went out, and he's a good rep. He's been well trained. Gets good reviews all the time. I know he wasn't feeling that great, but I found that out later. But we have a process. We follow it. And there was a lesson learned though. And I don't know if any of you guys are like this. Like, let's say you show up, how often do you show up to a house and they might have one shingle And they try to set the frame really early. Like, I just got one shingle. Like, how much is this going to be? And and I really try not to talk minimums. I try to go ahead and do a full inspection. You never know. And I think the biggest mistake my rep made is he went ahead and he got cornered and he decided to go ahead and talk on minimums before he even did the inspection. And that created that took the appointment on a tangent it shouldn't have gone on. And so then according to him, she said, well, never mind. I got somebody that can do it for this. And, because of course the minimum before you've done any inspections or shown the videos sounds high. It just does. Because when you're a licensed roofer, you have minimums. You just do. There's fuel, there's paying the labor. Yeah, you can hire a handyman to pop a shingle in for, $50 in a case of beer, but we're a licensed company. Anyway, that was the end of it. He disqualified it in ProLine, and then I'm sitting at another appointment and I see a 1-star review come through on this platform from this customer. And the first thing I thought, it was like 45 minutes after the appointment time. I was like, okay, did he miss the appointment? That's what I was wondering. So I went and looked real fast, and he had went and he told me what happened. He said everything was nice, but the review was just scathing. I was like, whoa, shame on you guys. Like, you for not providing customer service. And I'm like, what the heck? So I had to call and I sorted things out. I went myself. She wasn't there. She's in law enforcement. I went, I did a full video inspection. There was a bullet in her roof, which I did a social media post about. I
I saw that. That the one?
Yeah, it was that one. I put Lexel in there. I fixed it myself. And she had, so to her point, she had more problems than realized. There's a lot of overdriven nails in this roof. I think the roof is bad off. It was older looking than first thought. She's actually going to call insurance, I think, which is fine. But I did everything I could, and she updated the review to a 4-star. Thank God. Because I asked her, I was like, at this point, I was like, I don't even care if we do business. I mean, I care if we do business, but at this point, it's the reputation. I'm like, so that was like whatever it takes to make somebody happy. And so we were able to kind of squeeze the juice and make as much lemonade as we could out of that. But that was like, and that was one that you didn't get a read on, that you thought, okay, they're not going to do any. I mean, anyway, so that's the story. I mean, and that was just Friday. It was wild.
No kidding.
But
No, that's a
we
great
salvaged
example
it.
though. That's a great example, Robert. Thank you for sharing. I feel like you can plan all day and have the process in place, but every now and then you will encounter somebody that just is having an off day and can't really be pleased, or is just looking for a reason to go off on someone. So it
So
sounds like
lessons, no talking minimums ever. Just do the inspection. You might find storm damage. You don't know what the heck you're going to find.
no kidding.
Like, you could find in this case, that was true. Like, it was way more work than we realized. So yeah. Anyway,
No, I like it. That was good.
thanks.
All right, y'all. Anybody in our attendee pool here, if you have a question about something going on in your process or in your business or even personally that you would like some advice from our panelists from, please pop your questions into that Q&A box, as we do love to answer your questions live. But for our next hot take, your next competitor isn't another roofer. It's a laid off tech PM who knows how to run ads. What do y'all think?
There's a lot of them every spring that come around, but not a whole lot of them make it to winter. So, I mean, you just see I always say they bloom like the flowers in spring. It's the yard signs that pop up of, literally 50 new companies, between landscape companies and roofing companies and painting companies. I mean, like, they just, the streets are lined with brand new yard signs of all these different companies that never existed before. Come August, they're all gone.
Why do you think that is?
Because it's a lot freaking harder than people think. Everybody thinks that this is easy. And once you get to a point, it can get easier. But I mean, you guys, everybody sees all the people on Facebook coaching and giving lessons and guruing and whatever they're doing. Most of them guys haven't done this though. Like, legitimately, it's kind of scammy, because if you haven't done it, how do you really know what it takes? And I can tell you, I mean, I devoted probably 8 years without hardly ever taking a single day off. And a ton of money and lost money and for education. You know what I mean? You pay for your education one way or the other. Um, I just think it's way harder than people think, and it takes a lot more a lot more time than people think it does to kind of get it off the ground. I mean, just finding help. Just for instance, I was trying to put together a new gutter crew. We're extremely well known in the area. Uh, Also well known for taking care of our employees well. I figured hiring 2 guys, this would be like a cakewalk. Took me 4 weeks to hire
Oh, wow.
2 guys, and it's like, just finding good help is not an easy thing to do. Help that you can trust, that's accountable, that's gonna do a decent job. I mean, and that's literally like step 1, you know what I mean? So, there's so many things that you have to figure out and learn how to do that it's just a lot harder than it looks. Everybody thinks it looks easy. It looks easy to the guys that are killing themselves every day, making it look easy.
What do y'all think?
Yeah, when it comes to marketing, those that have been around a while know that you don't just market when there's a need. You market when there's not a need. So you're marketing through winter, you're marketing through fall, during the holidays, you're always marketing. So you can tell the new companies or the young ones or you know, the guys are going to be in town for the storm and then they're going to go to Nebraska or they're going to go to Montana or wherever is the next storm. Those guys are only advertising while they're in town, and their yard signs are everywhere temporarily. Their Facebook posts are there temporarily, but they're not there all year round. So you can tell the difference definitely because you get all those that pop up. I mean, it happens in Denver here all the time. So people come up from Texas or they come down from Minnesota or over from, the flatlands. We call them like Nebraska and Kansas and all that. So it's like a swarm, they just kinda follow the storm. Those are the real storm chasers, the temporary
Mm.
ad companies. But the ones that are advertising all year round, during the holidays, they're local, they're meeting up with local businesses and stuff. Those are the real local companies because they're doing it the right way because 'cause they've learned, like Scott's saying, over all these years, you're trying to be top of mind all the time and not just when there's a need, when there isn't a need.
Do you think homeowners that are like evaluating companies, do you think they take it that far? Do you think they consider who here, is just here for the season and who is here for a lifetime?
Guess that answer depends on how well you do in educating them and making them familiarized with your brand, throughout the years. If you're just getting into marketing now, are they going to know who the heck you are? Probably not.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I think it's a long-term play that, you really need to just really dive into and stick with long term for that to really make any kind of difference. But unfortunately, I mean, whenever the hurricane came through here most recently, a lot of people didn't really care to look into that. They wanted an immediate resolution for their issue, and they thought that this guy knocking at their door was, the easiest way or the easiest path forward to getting a solution to their problem. And, I've had so many people call us after the fact that have been burned and people have run off with their money and you name it. And I really think that we all, as contractors, need to do a much better job of, just getting this kind of stuff out of our backyards and just educating them like, hey, like, it don't matter what local company you hire, just hire somebody that actually knows local codes, local regulations, like, and is actually going to be around to do the job the right way and stand behind that job that they actually perform for you.
Yeah. No, that's good, John. Thank you. Anybody else agree, disagree? Ready to go to the next hot take?
I just think compete, don't compete with them. Just compete with your becoming a better version of yourself. Keep doing what you're doing. There will be new people all the time and there's hot takes and podcasts every day now talking about white collar jobs getting taken by AI. So we're probably going to see more white collar people moving into blue collar trades. That's fine. Yeah, let them come. We'll see. We'll see how it plays out. It's more than just marketing. It's processes, it's consistency, it's being there every day, doing the hard work. some of the boring stuff, you know?
Yeah. I think I see what you guys are saying. So I think maybe they see the money or the high ticket items and they think that they're just going to come in and grab it. But there's a lot, it's a layered situation, a lot more minutia. So I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see here. Okay, here's another one. Your logo should be built for the people you sell to, not for you. Do you agree or disagree?
What does that mean?
So the context behind that is, I guess there was like a angry.
It's not a logo of my face.
Allie, if you had a roofing company, your logo would be like a rainbow shrimp.
Yeah.
No, it wouldn't. But no, my question, I guess it's the thought behind the question is there was an example of a roofing logo that was like an angry muscled mascot, and I guess it scared customers. So they had to redesign the logo, and that logo brought their company up $2.4 million in revenue. So the idea that your logo could, is that a hot take? Do you agree? Do you disagree?
Oh, that's just good branding versus bad branding. That's what that sounds like to me. The question.
Elaborate.
If your brand sucks and somebody's telling you it sucks, fix it.
What if you got a bunch of yes men telling you that your logo is great, everybody loves it? He had to ask somebody before he spent the money on printing.
Well, there you go. That's your problem. And if he's one of my competitors, then have that keep going. You know, I'm joking. I'm kidding.
Change nothing. Yeah.
Yeah. I want the other guys to chime in, but I actually have I'm not going to unpack it, but I got a chance to talk to the old owner of our company 2 days ago. And it used to be a different brand, and he and I had a falling out, and then we've reconnected and things are kind of cool. And my partner, we took over the brand 2 years ago, and immediately it was absolutely no question we're rebranding. I feel like for 7.5 years, I sold roofs under this brand in spite of the brand, not because of the brand. It's just a bad brand. It was a hard name to say. It didn't really have a logo. And so I've got a chance to work with a lot of different smart people in the industry, and I've seen a lot, and I've seen a lot of good brands and bad brands. And I like, I, I had a chance to talk to him about this, and he said, man, I know. He's like, we should have changed the brand. He's like, I never could crack the code on branding and the inbound leads and all that because he spent too much money with somebody who told him that was a good brand. And I could line up 100 customers. I'm not kidding. It was that bad. Line up 100 customers and 99 of them would butcher the name after we did their roof. They wouldn't be able to say it. They wouldn't get it the first try.
Yeah.
So that's somebody who was married to his logo to try to speak to your hot take, who was not willing to accept the reality that maybe we should change this. Maybe we should pivot to something that's easier to say and is more memorable.
Yeah, that your logo could be a deterrent.
Sure. That's a perspective I have from a recent conversation.
What do you guys think? Should the logo be built for you or to the people you're selling to?
I think it has to go back to, you got to figure out who your ideal customer is and then build everything around them. Cause it's probably a 42-year-old female who has, 2.3 kids and a dog and drives a Tesla or something like that.
How do you
You gotta,
put that in
you
your
gotta,
logo?
what?
How do you put that in the logo?
Exactly. So you gotta figure out what attracts that ideal customer avatar to what you're trying to do. And so if you have a big giant like WWF looking character like ready to come and stomp on the house, it's like that's not what we want. The other thing I've had trouble understanding is like you want the customer to feel like they made the right choice in choosing you. And I've seen companies that are like the company is the hero and the customer is the customer. So I've always been a little conflicted with that where it's like, don't you want the customer to feel like the hero because they picked you? You want them to feel like um they're the smartest person for picking you because you're solving all their problems and doing all that for them. So but yeah, I think you got to start with the ideal customer avatar. Who is that? What do they like? What do they do? And how do you fit into that buying ecosphere that they, you know, see on Instagram or wherever they find their help.
Mm.
All you guys have been roofing company owners, I think, way longer than I have. Have you, any of you dramatically morphed your brand since you first started doing this?
Oh man, that's drastic.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was so we started as T-Bay Construction shortly after because we were doing everything and I didn't know anything. I was in the oil business before that doing this kind of work on the side forever. Well, my dad was a carpenter. I worked for a guy building houses. So it was just natural. This is what I wanted to do. The oil business just paid well. So, it was just that was natural. Um but then we I say rebranded, it wasn't much. We went to T-Bay Roofing just to try to target exteriors, roofing, siding, windows. And then when we decided we were going to start going to other markets, like now we have technically 4 offices, but they're very spread out.
Mhm.
And it was T-Bay Roofing. Well, you think T-Bay's easy to pronounce. Well, nobody else does. So in West Virginia, they say TB, which is the craziest thing I've ever heard, but they did.
Hey, Bay.
Yeah. So it's weird. But we do like here we used to do tons of radio and different like audio type stuff. Well, they wouldn't recognize it like in Google versus what they're hearing, right? So we rebranded to Rain Stoppers, and that is a point I would make. I mean, we were the typical blue like house thing logo. It was actually built into the name. It was TEB, and then the A was like this little house. It kind of looked cool, but it looked like everyone else's more or less. You know what I mean? Just a little different. One problem though that people really don't take into consideration when rebranding. Actually, I was chatting with Dima about this on Facebook the other day. The cost is expensive, so we budgeted it out, and we were doing like $6 million as T-Bay Roofing and revenue. So like we weren't small. We had quite a bit of stuff going on, multiple trucks and different things. So when we budgeted it out, we were going to rewrap everything. The sign on the building was going to have to be new. I mean, everything we owned was trash, and we were going to restart. And then even your ad campaigns, we had to go pump a blast of ads to get this new brand in front of people because nobody knew what the heck it was. So we budgeted $100,000 and we spent every penny of it. And the real issue isn't that. The real issue is the lost opportunity cost. And that's where people really miss the mark when they rebrand, and why, like if I was to do it again, I may still call it. If I was to do it again, it would probably still be T-Bay Roofing, and I would just change it to T-BAY, even though that's not how you spell my name. But it would be, the sound would be the same. The spelling would alter just a fuzz. Yes, we'd still have that $100,000 cost to change things, but we wouldn't have lost all of that market share that we had because we lost a ton of it. So we did the math on it with some people, and it was about a $500,000 lost opportunity cost is what we ended up calculating. So, you got to take that in consideration too, because all these people just thought we went out of business or we sold to some corporation, and nobody wanted to deal with us locally. Nobody wanted to buy. It was like last year toward the end of the year, we finally started really seeing our local market pick back up. But the first year and a half, I mean, we were dead in Marietta, Ohio, which is where we always crushed. So keep that in mind. If you're rebranding, like, you can rebrand and not change the whole thing, right? Like you can just change a little bit of it or add a mascot or change the company colors, just to make it more attractive, more appealing, more customer friendly. Like there's a few things you can do to do that without having that large, missed opportunity cost.
It's interesting, T-Bay. Another one of my hot takes here was the second worst thing you can name your business is your last name. Worst is initials. Second worst is your last name. You'll overspend on marketing forever to overcome it.
So I would somewhat disagree with that. The reason I did that originally, again, I knew nothing, right? Still don't know a lot, but back then I knew zero.
Please.
So I thought the best way to build trust is to put your name on it. And I still believe that's probably the right way to go. It's just what's your end game goal? My end game goal was more than just Marietta, Ohio. And the name has no value in other cities. Like, honestly, there's nobody named T-Bay that I know of. There's one family out in like Wyoming, and then my family. That's it. Like, there's not many of us. So it doesn't have no value anywhere else. But I do feel like that's the reason we had such a hot start, was because our name was on it. We were willing to put our name on our work. It was on the truck. It was on the shirt. You knew who you were talking to. Yeah, I had a decent reputation in the area. I mean, I was not the greatest kid, but people got along with me. You know what I mean? So it's like, it wasn't a hard deal. But it's that point of growth. But you got like Cox Roofing up there in Minnesota or whatever, who's, you know, crushing it, and that's his last name, and it works for him. You know what I mean? So I don't think that's really accurate. I think it's just what's your goal. If your goal is to stay in your home market forever, I don't have a problem with it. If you plan on staying owner operator forever, I don't have a problem with it. My goal is not to be an owner operator. My goal is to completely back out of the picture. I'm about 80% out of it now. But if your name's on the side of the truck, they kind of expect you to have some involvement. So it's just, what's your goal?
That makes sense. Ian asked, he said, Scott, love the insight on your brand changes. Did you keep the logo the same or did you change it up?
It's nothing even close. Like, not even close. I mean, it couldn't be more opposite at this point. We've got a mascot. The colors are different. The name's different. Yeah, it is not close at all.
Well, there you have it, Ian. Any follow-up questions on that?
Who has the strongest brand here?
Are you asking me?
Absolutely.
Oof, man. For me personally, I'm going to have to go Steadfast because I see it all the time. You're in my ecosystem. I recognize your logo even before I came on because I had seen your branding. So I feel like that's going to be my answer. But if I put them all in a lineup, I mean, how could I choose?
Right. So let's say you were like Steadfast, right? What would you change about our logo?
Man, you're really putting me on the spot, John. I would add.
And by the way, like, I still want to know the name of that dang rainbow shrimp you were talking earlier before.
It's a rainbow mantis shrimp or something. They asked me if I was an animal, what animal would I be? And that was my answer for my attendees.
So I'm actually asking that for a real reason. Like, we're doing something super fun with our next truck wrap. And now I'm going to have to get a rainbow mantis shrimp like in that thing somewhere.
I agree. And you're going to name it after me, right?
Absolutely.
Perfect. No further questions. No, I don't know. I really like your logo. I always have. I don't know that there would be anything I would change to it. I mean, personally, I think it would always be better pink. But again, that's just a me thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wanted to go with something super, like, I don't know. I think it's pretty modern-ish.
Mhm.
It's like, there's nothing super exciting about it, but I mean,
All the
It's
things you do
strong.
around it.
everybody like says like, stay away from the house logo with the windows and stuff, and like, I agree, but I wanted to have something there to go with it.
I like it. I think it's strong.
I think it's stupid, but we can move on.
Oh shit. All right. Battle it out, boys.
Scott, this is a family program. Stop.
That's why I just said stupid.
Well, all right, y'all. Let's see. I had another good one in here I wanted to ask. Where did it go? Okay. The number of touches to close a sale is no longer 7. It's 35 or more. Do you guys agree or disagree with this hot take?
I don't agree with that at
To
all.
close the sale, so that means you've already sent them a quote or you've already sat down with them?
They didn't give any specifics. The
That'd be from
context
start to
here.
finish. That's the statistic is from start to finish. The first time they've ever seen you to the time they buy off of you, they need to see you 35 times is the statistic. It's wrong, but it's the statistic.
What do you think about that? Why is it wrong?
Someone else can go. I've been talking too much.
TV.
I mean, there's no way that is the average. Like, what is that based off of? Like, somebody look up some BS Google article about like some Harvard study that was done about, like, everybody's going to be different. Like, there's some people you only need to have a touch point with one time and they're like sold, and then there's other ones that, I mean, you could be following up with them. Like, I just had one of my guys sell that's been following up with her for 11 months. Like,
Yep.
there's no magic dartboard number that like has the exact average number of how many follow-ups it's going to take to actually get somebody across the finish line. Like every single person is different. And a lot of it is based on their urgency and things, right? Or the skill of the actual like sales representative that goes out and actually gets to talk to them. A more skilled sales representative is going to have a much lower need to contact them over and over and over again. Whereas, maybe like a lesser experienced or an inexperienced sales representative might, they might need 35. But I don't know. I don't agree with that number just because of that.
I think the study is done off of not like trade specific. I think it's off all e-commerce stuff. So, for instance, it's the quality of the touch. If it's a referral, which is literally one of our people say referrals are dead and all this. They're full of crap. It's because they want to sell you marketing. Our main business is referrals, like 60% referral base. We've sold like 14 jobs or something stupid since Friday, which is for us is a lot in a few days. 14 jobs is very good. And I think 10 of them's referrals. So, we only had one touch with these people. You know what I mean? Or maybe maybe they saw a Facebook post or something, but it was minimal. It was it was nowhere near 35.
Yeah.
So the quality of the touch is different. If it's more like e-commerce, yeah, they need to see look at Buc-ee's, right? Buc-ee's is an example where you need 35 touches to stop at Buc-ee's because they've got 35 billboards on the way into Buc-ee's.
Yep.
But that's different. There's no trust that you have to build. There's no relationship that has to be built. There's none of that. None of that counts in that kind of business. For us, it's 100% trust based. Well, maybe not 100. Let's say it's 90% trust based. So one touch of a referral can be more than enough to sell a project.
Gotta be tactful.
I think those referrals looked at your business card 34 times before they called you. That's how that works.
Perfect. All right, y'all. If a sales rep leaves a cradle to grave company, it's a crisis. If a sales rep leaves ours, we barely notice. Hot take. You agree? You disagree?
Depends on your process. If your sales reps are PMs and they are cradle to grave, then yeah, that would be something you'd have to fill that a couple of roles in there. Someone who's a project manager. Like I think it depends on how you structure your company because some companies just have sales reps. That's all they do is go sell, and then it gets handed off, and then the project manager takes over or whatever. So it depends on how you structure your company, but then the pay's different too, of course. So is that kind of what they were talking about with that hot take?
Yeah, I guess it might be asking like you guys specifically, like if your top rep left tomorrow, would you guys be able to maintain the same trajectory that you have? Or would losing your top rep really put you guys in a position where the season might not look the same?
Yep, we would be fine because that was exactly what I wanted to avoid. I
Yeah.
didn't. That's another conversation actually got to have with my old boss, the old owner, because at our peak, it was all 1099 reps. He hardly spent anything on marketing, which speaks to the referrals. But guys were hustling and building their own referral pipelines, which was great. And I still encourage that kind of activity. But he had no marketing engine. He had no machine he had built that worked with systems and processes and production process and admin process and sales process that you can teach. It was this, but at its peak when it was working, it's every roofing company owner's dream because you got all these guys just bringing in all this business and you're not having to spend all this money on marketing. And I think that I remember looking at it specifically about 4 years ago and I said, what would you do if like all your reps left tomorrow?
Mm.
Like, is that the very question you're asking? It would be devastating because there wasn't a real framework of process to teach. So that's what we've tried to do is to where we can train somebody from the ground up. And but it's all there, like it's developed to where we could bring somebody in and then keep things moving. So
We did have a question. Have you ever had to fire a top guy to save culture? And looking back, would you have done anything differently, such as try to save the relationship?
I just fired a guy Friday.
Damn, T-Bay, tell us about it.
First one in like 4 years,
Ooh.
which was wild. full
Yeah.
reviews. And he was definitely one of our top guys. So, I mean, he's probably number 3 out of 8. So, one of the better ones. Yeah. So here's an interesting take. I won't, it's too fresh for me to really give out too much detail on. It's really unfortunate. Let's just say that it's very unfortunate. I noticed immediately a change in the employees around him. Not, and I do not mean that because they're still friends. Like those guys are still buddies. But he was kind of like the manager of the area, right? So he was kind of we don't have the technical sales manager for that area, but he was kind of the
People look to him for advice and feedback and things like that. Yeah.
yes. So regardless, I fired him Friday at 5:00 or something like that. By Saturday afternoon, his coworkers were, these dudes never call me on the weekend. Like they don't work weekends very often. You know what I mean? I'm talking to all of them Saturday and Sunday. They're out grinding. They've found, because I passed off all of his, pending projects to them guys, and I did all these things. That's part of why we sold so many over the weekend, is because they just started hammering all of his follow-up stuff, and they sold a bunch of his work, and they just like, where'd you guys come from? You know what I mean? Have you guys been sleeping? And I don't know if it was a culture thing, if it was he kind of had a little bit too much bearing on them, or made them feel a little incapable, maybe. I don't know that, but I can tell you a light switch flipped, because the guys around him found a new gear. So
Interesting.
it didn't get fired because of culture reasons, but there's definitely a shift in the mentality around him when he left.
Have any of you guys read this book by Brian Gottlieb,
Yeah,
Beyond the Hammer?
really good. It's really good. I love the first half, like the story.
Me
The
too.
Bateman story is really good.
And do you remember one of his founding principles is company culture is defined by the lowest level of behavior you accept. So I do think that's interesting. I know, Scott, you're saying it wasn't necessarily, a cultural reason that gave him the boot. But one person can poison the well, and it can have a ripple effect on your whole team. And so, personal relationships aside, I think there is a benefit to really thinking about that long-term strategy there. And is this person a net benefit, or are they maybe bogging everybody down? So
You want to hear a really wild thing? I've never read a book in my life.
no.
Not one.
Would you do an audiobook?
Scott, I can't say that I'm surprised, sir.
Okay, friendly fire.
No.
Literally never have I started and finished a full book in my life.
What about an audiobook? I think it's probably a
Can't do
couple
it.
hours.
Adams, I've tried it.
You're bored.
I was asleep.
No, I'll do it while I'm driving, and you know what happens? It's the best thinking I get done during the day.
Oh my gosh.
I don't pay one lick of attention to that
No,
stupid
you're
Vickers plowing.
making
I'm
your
like, I'm
grocery
over here in right
list.
field,
Yeah.
gone.
No, that makes sense. So I do kind of have one follow-up question, and then I'll let you guys go. With Ian's question about, having to fire somebody, do you guys have a process for write-ups? Somebody in the company steps outside of bounds, doesn't show to something they're supposed to show to, and you write them up. Do you guys have write-ups in your business? Would my first question. My second question would be, is it 3 strikes, you're out? What does that mean for them? And then do you incentivize those who maybe didn't have, any write-ups that term?
We have a
Yeah,
handbook. Go ahead, Robert. Sorry.
we do have write up. We have a write up thing, and I mean, if it's just a process issue, coach them up or coach them out. If it's like a culture issue, that's a different story. Like if it's you know what I mean, like an ethical issue or something. But if it's just like a mistake or something, we try to coach to improve it. And I wouldn't say we have a 3 strikes you're out thing, but yeah, we've had to do that a couple times recently on some things, but nothing crazy. But got to get better, level up. But go ahead, sir.
We have a handbook that we've literally never used.
Have you ever read it? No, I'm kidding.
Actually, I haven't, because I paid somebody to write it for me. I told them what I wanted in there, and then they wrote it for me. Yeah, I mean that all. That's a fact. No, I read the bullet points, which is about all I ever get done. But yeah, no, we've it's even like paid days off. We don't follow it. Like my guys, when they want days off, they take days off. If they can't keep up with their stuff, they got to quit taking days off. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
That's just, but that's also why I haven't fired anybody in 4 years. And that's also why I don't grow like John Starry, is because I'm so, the only thing that I'm like, which is, it's intentional, right? Like I don't hire very many people because I'm very particular on the people I hire. Not saying I've got better guys than anyone else, but they're just, to me, they fit the mold of what I want. You know, I won't hire them if they don't fit that mold. If they don't, I'm sorry, I'm just not hiring you. You might be the best sales guy in town. I'm still not hiring you. So, but that's why we grow fairly organically and fairly slowly, is just because I'm very intentional about who I hire. And I'm not going to write you up. If you screw up bad enough, I'm firing you. If you don't screw up that bad, we're just going to fix it and move on and learn. You know, my best guy in the company that I would put up against any sales rep in any market. I mean, this guy is a savage. And by the way, he's cradle to grave, does everything. He also basically manages the company for me half the time. So like, he's fantastic.
Mhm.
That dude has made more screw ups that would have got him fired at any other company than anybody I've ever seen in his early time with me. Like in his first couple years, it was every week we were sitting down, like trying to fix crap that he broke, you know, and it's like, dude, how'd you sell this at this price? Or how did you, you made this promise that you can't keep, or what, all these things. Well, we've got him to a point now where I couldn't imagine doing business without him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you got to, but he fit the mold. He fit the mold that I wanted to hire, and I didn't want to fire him. I just wanted him to get better, and so that's why I don't mess with write-ups. Either you screwed up and you got fired because it was that bad, or we're just going to make it right and learn from it and try to get better.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Starry, he gave you a call out there for just your growth and maybe your process too. What's your take
compliment.
there? Enough Googling mantis shrimp and lock in. Yeah.
Scott just gave me that alley-oop, man. I had to take the shot, but no, Scott's my buddy. I was actually having a convo with a few of the guys that Scott and I kind of talked to on Wednesdays and stuff about, man, like some people have been trying to like pull some stuff, and like I'm catching wind of it, and like honestly, like I'm really waiting for the next, event to kind of happen to kind of like really realign everybody else, because like what happened with Scott, like it was a snowball effect, and they saw what happened when you know don't do things to the standards, and sometimes to get everybody back in alignment, like sometimes things like that need to happen.
Yeah.
So but again, I've not done anything out of the ordinary to kind of have like the growth that we did. Like we got really, really lucky with a number of, storms and things, and like just an influx into the area as far as, people moving here. It's just a good spot to kind of be in the middle of, But I mean, I guarantee if like Scott were the person that was like right here in my place, like he'd be seeing the same stuff, because like he knows what it takes to kind of build and grow a company. Brian, Robert, like I have zero doubt that like those guys would be able to do the same exact thing. Like I didn't do anything out of the ordinary. I just got really lucky, and I worked really damn hard. And sometimes that's all it takes,
Yeah, I'd argue it's less about the luck and more about the latter, but I hear you and happy you're staying humble. I think that's good.
Probably, but
No. But
Unintended.
you're full operators, and you guys didn't end up here by happenstance. So I think every now and then you guys need to maybe just give yourself a little pat on the back for how far you've come and really how far you plan to go. So I think everybody on this call, I see you all building generational wealth for your families and getting to a place in your business where you're hands off. And I'm just excited to be along on this journey with you. no matter what that looks like. So thank you guys. Thanks for hopping on today and every Monday. We appreciate you so much. And for the people in our attendee pool, thank you as well. We'll be right back at it next Monday to do it all again at 4:30. So thank you guys.